Good morning everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, this channel is all about Unreal Engine and photogrammetry. So what I do is I travel around the world, I do a lot of photo scanning, and then I bring those models into Unreal Engine and build environments from it. Eventually I will sell it on the Fab store. For this project I went to the Fanal Forest in Madeira, which truly is one of the most magical places on this planet. There I scanned around 30 trees. I'm now making a tutorial series where I'm going to show you everything that goes into creating these assets from beginning to the end. In this episode, I'm going to take the mesh I created in RealityScan and we're going to start the cleanup process in 3DCoat using all those tools that they have available there. In the last episode, I was showing you everything that you need to think about in a reality capture, or RealityScan as it's called these days. So I went through all the settings and everything, and what you need to think about to get a model out that we can then use for sculpting and cleanup in 3DCoat. So in order to get it out, you would go to the dense mesh model. When you export it, make sure that you export it with Vertex colors on. And what you need to do is transformation preset, set it to Blender Maya. That's my favorite system. That means you just get the correct Y up axis. When you open 3DCoat, make sure you go to Surface Sculpting. I like to start in Surface Sculpting, not Volume Sculpting. I'm going to turn it into volumes, but I want to clean it up just a little bit before. You navigate to where you've saved it, and then you just double-click to import, and it's all going to happen automatically. And when it's in, make sure that you go to Preferences and just check your in-out settings, because we need it to be in decimeters, either decimeters or meters. Now 3DCoat starts in millimeters, which is completely crazy. It makes everything either super big or super small. So just in the drop-down menu, change it to decimeters. And once that's done, we can start sculpting. So you can see up here, I get one that's called volume and one that's called the name of the file. This one we can actually delete. No idea why it creates two, but that's what it does. And this one here, we are later going to change to volumetrics, but not now, because we're going to clean it up just a little bit before we go. But you change it by clicking this S here, and then it will turn into volume. But more about that in a while. So let's clean it up. Now I'm also going to make this today is going to be a little bit of an introduction to the sculpt interface and how to do the sculpting. So what we are going to do, we are going to clean up all of this. And we are going to start sculpting it so we can prepare it for the next stage, which is putting on the branches, because we're only going to get so close here in freeing up these branches here. There are some things that we can keep, but we want to clean it up and just get some nice branches in here, which we are going to do in Houdini. But first, let's clean this up. So the interface here. Now, I have set it so I use Alt to navigate. This is what separates this sculpting program from ZBrush, and some of you might be very happy with that you get more of a standard 3D room here where you can navigate normally compared to how you do it in ZBrush, which I find very nice. So I just got Alt click anywhere outside to tumble around, and then right to in and out, and then Alt left to pan around. It's as easy as that. It's just your normal Maya controls pretty much. And up here you get some little bit of utilities. It's lights, these are move tools and snapping settings, etc. What I'm looking for now is this cube here. This goes from a 3D viewport to a 2D viewport kind of, or an isometric view where everything is kind of flat, you don't get the perspective. So this is easier to work like this if you're going to cut things, which I'm going to do now. So on the left side here you got all your brushes and other kinds of tools as well. So right now when we are in surface mode, you got surface brushes here. These brushes here will change when you shift over to volumetric mode, to voxel mode. But you also access the same brushes by pressing down space. Then you get everything under your fingertips. So in this case, we're just going to find the Cutoff tool. And that's that one here. Now you can see here, if I draw out, I will get a rectangle. So what this one is going to do is it's going to create like a Boolean shape that are going to shoot in through the scene and it's going to cut off this part here. And you can see those things disappeared. And if you want to change, going from using this rectangle, this one is very useful, of course. And another useful one is just the Lasso tool. So if I click that one, we have more the option here to just go like this. And you can see it's pretty fast. It does get even faster when you switch over to Voxels. But right now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clean this up a bit, because when we create voxels out of this, we just don't want all of this, because Voxels is since Voxels is a volumetric cloud, the bigger the cloud is, the lower the resolution will be, and we kind of struggle a bit. So we're just going to rein it in a bit so we get more of a controlled shape, and then we're going to convert it. So what I'm going to do here, we're just going to chop off big pieces here of the geometry. And as you can see, it's actually a little bit slower the bigger it is. And when you're in surface mode, it also depends on the complexity of the mesh. And quite often it will fail as well, because you got crisscrossing polygons that it can't cut very nicely. That problem does not exist in Voxel mode. So you will always get a success in Voxel mode. But here, once in a while, you will get a failure sign showing up that it can't cut it, because the geometry is a bit messed up. So we're just going to tackle this up here. So what's important is to identify which branches you can actually salvage out of this mess here. And there are quite a few. So what I'm looking for is, like, I want to get down to where I find these stumps here, for instance. So I'm going to try to salvage it around there, something like that. But first, let's dig through this. So I'm just going to cut off the tops here, which I know for sure I'm not going to want. So this is where you turn into a little bit of a sculptor, where you just have to chisel your way through the model. Like I said, I'm not going to go do too much in surface mode here, so I'm just going to see if I can get a few more pieces off. Maybe this piece as well. And this big. And just this one here, so see if that one comes off, and then I think that's it. Okay, I think that's fine. Let's quickly jump up here so we can see. So before we convert it to volumetrics now, there's just one more thing we got to do, and that's going up here, right click, and hit the separate disconnected parts. And you drag this one up to the max size of pieces to delete. That means that every part that's got 10,000 polygons or less is going to be deleted outright. And you can also, if you want to separate them into separate pieces, you can tweak this here. But anyways, just do this. It will remove most of it, and then you click OK. And if there is something that's bigger, you get like a little list here, and you can just choose and delete it yourself. But this will take some time. It's going to remove all of these tiny little floaters here and just delete them outright. So that's very handy. And as you can see here, I got two new entries here. So let's see what they do. So this one is the big one, and then there's one little blob here as well that is then apparently bigger than 10,000 polygons, so it stays. We're going to select that one, and we're just going to hit the delete. So you got a bunch of utilities down here. Just hit delete and it's gone. Now I prefer to just clean this up a bit, pull this out, delete the top group, and just rename it, keeping things as they should be. Like so. We hit save as well. Now what we're going to do, we're going to convert this to volumetrics, to the voxels. And the easiest way is to just hit the S button here. You get a dialog box here. Now it says it by default here, it calculates how big it is and estimates what you want to convert it to. So in this case, it says 63 million, which is probably fine. So my limit for this is 100 million. Now you have to think about your own system, how powerful your computer is, how far you can go. So that's the only way you can figure that out is by testing it. So my system, 100 million around, is quite fine. Now you want to oversample these things, because the whole process we're going through is quite the degrading process, so to speak. Well, the quality is going to go down. It's like in the old times, you had these VHS tapes, and if you copy a movie from one VHS tape to another one, and it slowly degrades and becomes worse every copy you make. And this is the same here. So we begin as high as we can, and then when we're finished, it's going to we're going to end where the quality is supposed to be. So for this one, I'm going to type in 80 million. Let's see here, 80 million, and hit OK. It ended up being 89 million. And that's good for this, I think. It's going to be just fine. So now, to the left here, you can see it's changed. So now you got something called a clay engine, and you got the voxel tools. And you even got surface tools here, so it's changed a bit. Now, my sculpting tools are mostly going to be under here, under the clay engine. So these are kind of new. It's been around for a few versions now, but this comes with a big upgrade they made to 3DCoat a couple of years ago. And that just propelled the whole voxel sculpting to a completely new experience. So if you tried 3DCoat a couple of years ago and you didn't fancy it too much, then it's worth another try, because this makes it really good for voxel mode. Before, I would actually never go into voxel mode. I would do everything in surface mode, all the cleaning up and everything, which also works, but it's actually a lot harder to do. So let's see. I hit the space bar. So you can see at the top here, I also got some of my favorites here that I use quite often. You can put them in your quick access, and you can just flip through with your keyboard there, the 1, 2, 3, etc. But I want the cutoff again, and checking that we got this one, the Lasso tool. So while we are in this 3D view here, I'm just going to show what it looks like if I cut in 3D. So the problem is, let's see here, it's probably good. The problem is that I'm creating this shape. This is the Boolean shape here that shoots in. So this one is in 2D kind of, and it shoots straight in, but the viewport is in 3D. So normally it should have been straight through, but you can see it's a bit wobbly, and sometimes it can get even more wobbly than that. So that's usually if you get in here and you are in 3D mode, sometimes, let's cut this off here, for instance, see what happens. So most of the time it's going to work just fine. It's just you're going to get like a little bit of a strange cutoff shape here. But what also can happen sometimes, it's that it can cut off things behind you that you don't necessarily want to get cut off. So that's why I'm careful with cutting in 3D mode. You can still do it, but you just have to check around that you didn't destroy anything while you were doing it. But I prefer to go into the 2D mode for this. It's just safer. And now just keep on cutting. You can see it goes a lot faster in voxel mode as well. So here it's just about keep going. So most of the work will be done with this cutoff tool here. And I usually just work my way closer to my goal. Just chipping away ever so slightly just to reveal what I can keep and what I can't keep. So I know quite a lot of these branches here I can easily sculpt in. But it's quite important to see that I don't ruin too much. And I think that was a bit too heavy-handed here. You can see I go in here and kill off a little bit too much. So I'm gonna hit the undo button, Control Z or Z, depending on where you are. We're back, so I'll try to be a little bit more careful. So you always want to angle, find the right angle where you're cutting. So you're cutting up into the sky so you don't accidentally cut away things that you want to keep, and just try to get a good overview of what's going on in the scene. But you can see how amazing this is. I mean, if you're coming from even great programs like Blender, or if you've been sitting in Maya and you try to do something like this, it's doing it in Voxels, it's just unbeatable. You can't imagine how much easier this is. So it's all about you making the right decisions. Now it helps knowing what the next step is. What am I going to do after this? Once I clean this up, then it's going to be much clearer what you have to cut off. So I will create a branch system in Houdini. So it means when I clean this up to a certain level, I can just put a branch here and build it up like this. Now you can do that in any program if you want, of course. It's just that Houdini is my preferred program to do stuff in. And once you see what I am doing there, it will be quite obvious why it's the best program for a lot of things. Well, you might notice that when you're cutting this, it's like because you want to cut into the sky like this. That is the best way. And sometimes you want to go down, but then you have, of course, you got geometry there. So there are two ways to handle this. Now you got either the hide tool. So let's see here. I got VoxHide. Now this works really good, but it has a problem. So let me save this. So let's see what happens if I do the VoxHide. So if I want to hide this bottom here, I am now in the VoxHide tool, and I can drag a rectangle like this, and then the bottom there is going to disappear. There we go. It's gone. It's hidden. And you can see it actually takes a little bit of time to hide it. So that's why you don't go like, I'm going to hide this and then bring it back. I wish maybe that would be faster, because then it would be easier to go to implement it in your workflow where you just hide pieces. But now it takes sometimes a minute, so that slows you down quite a bit if you want to use it like that. I'm going to go back into the cut tool, and now it's of course a lot easier to do this. So let's see, okay, it will warn me here, the volume has hidden parts, so you have to be careful even though it's just hidden since it's not deleted. So let's see what happens if I deleted that. I did some work and now I want to bring it back. Now here's where we get into a little bit of the problem here. So you go into up to the geometry tab and you just click the unhide all, and it's back, and you can see that worked pretty good. Now I'm actually a little bit surprised here, but I was going to show you how it loses the vertex color on it when it brings it back. So you have to be careful with that. It does it sometimes. Maybe I didn't do enough edits here, but I had it before where I hide something and then I do all the work here. And when I bring this back, it's going to just be a brown mesh without the vertex color. So in order to show you what that looks like, the color is saved here. You got a layer tab here with the vertex colors on it. So if I click this layer tab here, it's going to remove the color. So what you get is sometimes this will come in and look like this brown where you have hidden it. It would just disappear, and then this one would be colored, which is not what you want. I made great efforts to have vertex color so I can see how the model looks like, because I'm going to have to sculpt away all the little plants that are sticking out, so I don't want to lose that. But apparently sometimes it works. I actually usually don't get any success with it. And that's why I want to show you the second way you can do this. Now what I like to do is to just go to the tab here and hit the duplicate. So I'm going to get an identical mesh of this one, because this is something I do very often. I want the bottom and the top to be different. So what I can do, if I hide the top one, And I can just say this bottom one here. We just kill this one off. So this will be my base. And if I hide that one and bring this one, I'm now going to do exactly the opposite. I'm going to need a little bit of an overlap here. And then you can see, bring the other one back there. So that means I can just choose which one I'm going to be sculpting on. Now, this is a tiny bit destructive as well. You might get a tiny little seam line here. Nothing that you can't usually just sculpt over, or if you see it at all, that is. Sometimes you don't see it at all. And but it's something to think about if you're doing a different kind of an object. In this case, this one is so gnarly, it really doesn't matter. But if you get something that's more sensitive, it can be a little bit of a problem. But this is how I would normally go about it. It's just a safer way to do it. Well, it gives me the time to show you what these things are for here as well. So you see there, let's bring, get the full 3D view, it's better. This is the ghosting mode. So I can turn them on and off, just so I can see which object I'm actually working on. Let's continue cutting these things off. So I actually want to keep this a little bit here because that's kind of good to have. So these are all ferns and moss I'm cutting off here. So about 3DCoat, I know it's kind of confusing for a lot of people when the first time you use it, or maybe on the 20th time you use it, and I think so as well. I think this is not necessarily a program that you have to know everything about. It's not like a Blender or a Maya where you need like deep knowledge of everything that's going on, because they have this room system. So all of these are like different rooms. You get the painting room, tweak room, UV room, retopo, sculpt, and they're all like separate entities. And right now we're in the sculpt room. And once you're in there, there's actually very few things that you need to know. I mean, I'm sure if you know a very deep knowledge of the program, you can do a lot more. But all I want to do is this pretty much. I want to clean up my model and I want to sculpt it. And I just need to figure out exactly how those tools work. The rest I can learn when the time comes, if there is anything I need to learn there. So just think of it as you're diving into a room, and it's kind of a very simple little program that does the things that you need to do. So you don't really have to know anything about the other rooms at all. So that means you bring the model in, you do your stuff, and you export the model out, and you're done. Doesn't mean that there's not a lot of gotchas around. There is plenty of that you need to know, and that's why I'm doing these videos. I'm going to show you all of the gotchas you can experience on the way. It's pretty much one branch done there. Clean up a bit more. So the rest I can sculpt in here later. And you can see even these thin ones here, I'm not too bothered about that. I can fix that as well. But you see, as long as it's working as nicely as this, undo. It's actually kind of fun to do this cleanup and just see how the whole model gets revealed. And it doesn't have to take that long. It depends on the model. And you can see now I'm sculpting in the 3D view. It works as well. I'm just going to have to be a little bit more careful. But actually, I think it's just more visible with not the black background. So it's easier for the video. So I hope it still works out. But okay, I think you get the point. So I'm just going to clean all this up using exactly these tools. And after that, we're going to do some sculpting. And there we have it. That's most of it removed. And you can see I have revealed quite a lot of the tree here. So you can see what I chose to keep. Now the important thing here is you don't need the full branches. You just need these kind of connectors. These are really going to help when you create your other branches, because you just have to click and create a branch there, so you know exactly where they start. And then you get like a nice extruded curve there, same here and everywhere. So that's why I try to go for. I try to just find these little stumps here, and that's why I leave them also like kind of flat like this, because it's when it's flat, it's easier to just create a curve. Now I'm not quite done with this yet. There's a lot of polish I can do before I put some curves on it. I'm going to stop there, and in the next episode I'm going to talk about the clay engine tools and all the voxel tools and what I do to bring it up to just the next level, because I don't feel quite ready just yet to get it over into Houdini, so it needs to reach this standard here, and for that I'm going to have to do a lot of sculpting, but that's in the next episode. So if you're interested in that, why not like and subscribe, and I'll see you around next time.